Well, we'd like to get started with a song or two. The show's running late, and if you all just sit down and relax, we'll try our best to entertain you with a little song or two. And the Riders in the Sky, bless their hearts, we didn't even go over these songs till 6 o'clock this evening, so we hope everything works out all right. So we'll start off with a little tune that was written by Stuart Hamlin, one of the songs I've been doing for many, many years. I kind of like it, an arrangement. I hope it'll work out okay, called Texas Plains. Each night in my dreams, somehow it seems that I'm back where I belong. Just a country hick way back in the sticks, back where I was born. Now the city lights and the city ways are driving me insane. I want to be alone, I want to be back home, back on those Texas plains. Thank you very much. You know, it's nice to come to a crowd where you feel like that some portion of your life has touched almost everyone in here, and time passes so fast. We have our museum, Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Museum, out in Victorville, California, where we call it This Is Our Life, and we have, of course, Triggers in there, and Buttermilk, and the little Jeep Nellie Bell, and Trigger Jr., and everything pertaining to, I even have the old car. I came to California in 1930. In fact, we have a Bullet in there. In fact, I told Dale when I died, just skin me out and put me up on Trigger, I'd be just as happy. But if you're ever out that way. Well, I spent half my life on it. But you know, one thing happened to us one day. I was taking some personal friends through our museum to show you how time flies and space over a period of years. As you get older, you think back on it, and it seems like it was yesterday, you know. So I was taking some personal friends through the museum, and as we went along, other people joined us, and we finally got about 2/3 of the way through there, and there's quite a few people with us, and this lady got up close to me, and she tapped me on the shoulder, and she says, "Mr. Rogers," says, "I've been watching you since I was a little bitty girl." I said, "Well, honey, that's wonderful. Don't stop now." She said, "I won't." I said, "By the way, how old are you?" She said, 78. Well, we got out into the lobby of the museum, and she took another look at me, and she says, "How old are you, Mr. Rogers?" I said, "I was 56. She scratched her head a little bit, and she said, "Well, maybe I was a little older than I thought I was when I saw your first picture." But that was 10 years ago. So now you know how old I am. Had a little guy held his hand up one day. You know, people want to ask you questions. He says, "Hey, Roy," says, "how old are you?" I said, "Well, I'll give you a little problem, and you tell me." I made my first picture. I was 26 years old, and that was 1938. You figure it out. Well, the show went on, and about a half an hour later, he held his hand up and he says, "Roy, I know how old you are now." I says, "How old am I?" He says, 41. I thanked him very graciously, and I said, "Thank you very much." Well, we got a song that might bring back some memories to some of you. I recorded a few years ago, and it takes in three of the top cowboys at the time, and it was written by a guy that grew up on our pictures and spent most of the Saturdays in the show watching them through 3 or 4 times. I feel like I was a babysitter for the moms and dads in those days. They could drop their kids off and leave them there for 4 or 5 hours and come back and pick them up full of popcorn and had a good time. It was a healthy era. It's too bad we don't have those kind of pictures today, because the children, right always won out over wrong, and there wasn't any gray. It was black or white, and you had to know who the hero was and what was right and what was wrong when we got through with the guy and put him in the jail. Because, can you fellas come over here closer to me?
We'd love to.
I feel like I'm out here in left field someplace. I generally work with, you say you sounded great a while ago. I enjoyed that very much. Of course, I'm kind of felt like I was home, because the Sons of the Pioneers, I'd take them with me all the time on the road, and they're a great group, and we always kind of scatter around one another and kind of close in the back, and I could hear the instruments and hear you all sing and that kind of stuff, you know? Is that all right? This is a song that was written by a guy that grew up on the pictures, I said, and some of you might have heard the record. It's called Hoppy, Gene, and Me. It's a kind of a nostalgia type thing. Hoppy, Lone Cassidy, and Gene Autry, and me. It seems like only yesterday we rode the range together, prairie skies and tumbleweeds just as far as we could see. Then you grew up and drifted on, but I know that you'll remember when you were a saddle pal to Hoppy, Gene, and me. Now Hoppy, Gene, and me, we taught you how to shoot straight. You were gonna be a cowboy, that's how it had to be. Just stories from the silver screen, now most of them forgotten. Double features Saturday with Hoppy, Gene, and me. Freckle-faced, skinned-up knees, you helped us fight the bad guys with a 5-cent bag of popcorn and a cap gun by your side. Time has a way of changing things. Soon there was your first love. You thought it would last forever, but when she left you cried. Now Hoppy, Gene, and me, we taught you how to shoot straight, and a cowboy never cries. That's how it had to be. Just stories from the silver screen, now most of them forgotten. Double features Saturday with Hoppy, Gene, and me. At last you found your real true love, and now you look so happy. Is that your little cowpoke that you're bouncing on your knee? Well, a prairie sky is just as blue, and life is like a rerun. And just like you, he'll be a saddle pal to Hoppy, Gene, and me. Now Hoppy, Gene, and me, we taught you how to shoot straight. You were gonna be a cowboy, that's how it had to be.